Let's talk about Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. As I record this video, the Panthers are currently 3-3 on the season, and they've won their last 2 games at home. They've gotten back to their winning formula here. When we go back to the back half of last season, when Bryce Young looked really good against teams like Kansas City, the Philadelphia Eagles, the New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Atlanta Falcons, just to name a few, they ran the football at a high rate with Chuba Hubbard. And Chuba Hubbard last season had almost 1,200 rushing yards. He had 10 rushing touchdowns. And the perfect situation for the Panthers, they wanted to run the football with Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks is a rookie that they selected out of Texas. He came off of a torn ACL at the college level. Unfortunately, he tore his ACL last season. So obviously he's going to miss this entire year. But you bring in Rico from the Dallas Cowboys last season, who had over 1,000 rushing yards. The first couple of games, they got away from the run game. Dave Canales tried to force Bryce Young to have over 35 pass attempts and matchups. It just wasn't working out. And in the last 2 games, they have ran the football very well with Rico, to say the least. Against the Miami Dolphins, they were down 17-0 in this matchup. Chuba Hubbard is out with a calf injury, so he's a starting running back here. 23 carries, 206 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. He was phenomenal. He averaged 9 yards a carry, and the longest rush of the day went for 53 yards, and that went for the rushing touchdown. If you take that play away, he still averages over 6 yards a carry. So the next week against the Dallas Cowboys, and he said this as soon as the Dolphins game was over with in a press conference. He said the Dallas Cowboys better be ready. They better buckle up. They know what I'm capable of. He even goes on SportsCenter and he says the same thing. He obviously holds something against the Dallas Cowboys, but he's happy to be with the Carolina Panthers. And this matchup against Dallas, 30 carries for 183 rushing yards, 6.1 yards a carry, 5 catches, 56 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. That is back-to-back games now with over 200 yards from scrimmage. I'm not saying that he's going to be able to keep up this pace for the entire season, because when Chuba Hubbard is fully healthy and when he's ready to go, you should split the carries with him and Chuba Hubbard, but you ride with the hot hand. You still give Rico majority of the carries. And if I'm the Panthers, I'll tell Chuba Hubbard, hey, don't worry about it. Don't rush back into the game plan here. If you're not fully healthy with that calf injury, we understand. We're going to ride the hot hand with Rico. And we have Trevor Etienne as a backup running back. But the way that they've ran the football over the last couple of weeks, this is what the Carolina Panthers should do moving forward. You minimalize the passing attempts with Bryce Young and having Bryce Young work off of play action. Bryce Young is not ready to take the responsibilities similar to a Patrick Mahomes, a Joe Burrow, a Josh Allen. That's not his game. That's not in his game just yet. And I've said this over the last couple of weeks. Bryce Young is better off when he's under center. Hand the football off, work off this offensive line, and now you can have those single reads on the outside and with Tetairoa McMillan, and in the inside the slot position with Hunter Renfrow. Jalen Coker is expected to come back sooner than later. He's been able to go out there and practice, from my understanding. He's missed all this season up to this point dealing with a leg injury. When you get him back into the lineup, he was a very good, consistent wide receiver last year. So now you have him, you have McMillan, and you have Hunter Renfrow. But you still should be able to go out there and run the football over and over again. That's the identity with the Carolina Panthers, and I have been impressed. And going back to Bryce Young here for a second. That first game against the Jacksonville Jaguars had the 2 interceptions, had the fumble. If you would have just stuck to your game plan and ran the football early on, and take those short passes underneath with Bryce Young, you may have not ran into that situation. And you can say that it is growing pains. At the same time, this is a player that's in his 3rd year, and you selected him with the 1st overall pick. You want to see him grow. In week 2 against the Arizona Cardinals, he did perform better. He had 3 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, and 1 bad fumble. That fumble went for 6. So immediately, as soon as the Arizona Cardinals take their first snap on the field, offensively, they're already up by a touchdown. Dumb mistakes once again by Bryce Young. But later on in this matchup, they were making a comeback in the 4th quarter. And it wasn't a situation to where they played a bunch of off coverage. No, the Arizona Cardinals were playing man coverage. Bryce Young was just willing and dealing on the day. But having 55 pass attempts is just too much for any quarterback in this league. Against the Atlanta Falcons, your defense finally stepped up. More on them in a second here. and you won that game 30-0. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say they finally stepped up. They performed very well, in my opinion, against the Arizona Cardinals. You take away that fumble for 6 by Bryce Young, it's a different ball game here. And they played very tough defense on the back end with Trevor Lawrence. They forced him to throw an interception in that matchup. The offense and the game plan just let them down in those first 2 games. But the defense has gotten better compared to last season. We'll really go in depth on the defense here in a couple of minutes. But Bryce Young against the Falcons, 16-24, 121 passing yards. You wanted him to go out there, take what the defense gives him. Your defense is balling out. They're walking away with a pick 6 in that game, and you live off the run game. Now, Bryce Young did open the first drive up with a rushing touchdown. That's how you start a game. What's interesting here is that the Carolina Panthers, all their wins have come at home. Because against the New England Patriots, that next week, they got dominated, 42-13. But once again, you got away from the run game. You did not commit to it. Commit to the run game here and make life easier for Bryce Young. Now, against the Miami Dolphins, Bryce Young did perform very well, even though he had a bad fumble in this matchup. And you can also talk about the interception that he did throw in this game, but they were down 17-0. It was more than just a rushing attack here. Bryce Young was able to go out there, get the football out quick, and make some big-time throws across the middle of the field, similar to what he did last season. And against the Dallas Cowboys here, the one interception, that was not on Bryce Young. It bounced off the hands of Tetairoa McMillan. So this was a clean game by Bryce Young. Don't always just look at the box score here. You have to look at the game for every single snap. So against the Cowboys, that has been his best game of the season up to this point, by not turning the football over and having those boneheaded plays over and over again. And that is what you hope for if you are the Carolina Panthers. Don't make him something that he's not. I still have a lot of questions about Bryce Young because I can see the comments now. They beat 2 bad football teams. Yes, they did. They beat the Dallas Cowboys. They have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and the same with the Miami Dolphins. But I always say this, even with teams like the Buffalo Bills, you can't help who you play. You can only go out there and you can just control your situation and the game plan of the week. When you go against elite level competition, you play to the best of your ability. So even though the Cowboys are a bad football team right now, defensively, and the same with the Miami Dolphins, they still found a way to come back and win these matchups when they were down. Now, this is the ugly side of this conversation with Bryce Young. He's 7-10 at home. All 3 of the wins have come at home for the Carolina Panthers. Their next game is on the road against the New York Jets. They're currently 0-6 as I record this video. Personally, I can see the Carolina Panthers winning that game. But Bryce Young is 1-15 on the road in his career. It's not all on him, but his numbers are drastically different on the road than they are at home. If they can win this game against the New York Jets, now you're 4-3. Then you face the Buffalo Bills at home. And it is hard to beat the Carolina Panthers at home, even dating back to last season. They gave Kansas City a lot of problems when they were the home team. Their defense let them down. So if you beat the Jets here, and the Buffalo Bills right now, as I record this video, they're in the bottom of the league. They're ranked 28th in rushing defense. And this is a team that can run the football very well with Rico at the moment, and the same with Chuba Hubbard. We just saw what the Atlanta Falcons just did to them. And you can put enough pressure on Josh Allen, you could possibly be 5-3 at a point in time this season if you win your next 2 games. That's how fast things can change. But they have to dial in here. You are still in contention to possibly win this division, because you have that win over the Atlanta Falcons. Right now, you're 3rd in this division, and Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're going crazy. But anything can change at any given moment in the season because we're still early in. But Bryce Young, continue to play well, don't turn the football over, and stick to the run game. And I understand that the Dallas Cowboys win to some. You'll just say it's a bad football team. They just can't play defense. Let's not act like the Carolina Panthers weren't dealing with injuries. No Jalen Coker. The big right tackle, Taylor Moton, he was out for this matchup. So you have a backup right tackle. You have Cade Mays at the center position. Now, it depends on how you look at Austin Corbett. Personally, I felt like Cade Mays should have been a starter to begin with at the center position, but they went with Austin Corbett. And I was making complaints about Austin Corbett in that matchup against the Arizona Cardinals with just a bunch of bad snaps, in the same case against the Jacksonville Jaguars. You haven't seen that with Cade Mays. So the Russian offense has been better up the middle of the field because of him. And you're missing your star right guard in Robert Hunt. So you have Brady Christensen at the right guard position, Ickey at the left tackle position, and Damian Lewis. So this is a beat up offensive line, but they're still moving people. And they were just moving the Dallas Cowboys off the ball over and over again. They punished that team. That's the identity here. But you get a healthy Chuba Hubbard back soon than later. And the same with Jalen. Solid offense right there. But I've been more so impressed with the defense. Defensively last year, they were dead last in rushing offense. They allowed over 2,000 rushing yards on the ground in a season. That's terrible. And you had a lot of people come out and they question, is it time to move on from this defensive coordinator? We have to move on from Coach EJ. That was not the case here. They're fourth in rushing offense, which is incredible, but they're ninth in rushing defense. And Derek Brown did miss majority of last season dealing with a torn meniscus injury. But you even put that aside, the defenders that they added in free agency have just made a huge impact so far. And the same with their rookies up front. It's hard to run the football in the Carolina Panthers right now. And they've made life tough on Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. They made life tough on Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look at what they did against Michael Penix Jr. and the Atlanta Falcons. The defense stepped up. When they were down 17-0, they made major adjustments. They took away the middle of the field. They made Darren Waller a non-factor in the second half, and the same with Jalen Waddle at certain moments in the third and fourth quarter. That's defensive adjustments. We didn't see that last season. So we have to give the defense a lot of credit here. And Derek Brown is still one of the best defensive linemen in this league. He does not get a lot of credit, in my opinion. He is a tremendous pass rusher and run stopper. He does everything for the Carolina Panthers up front. You have Bobby Brown playing alongside him. He's never going to get a lot of love in his career. He's primarily just a run stopper. And that's what he did with the Los Angeles Rams. But you feel his impact on the field. Patrick Jones, I look at Patrick Jones. He's more so of a system player. Had a very good year last year with the Minnesota Vikings. He's been solid with the Carolina Panthers in a couple of moments. But I don't ever see him being that game-changing edge rusher. I think long-term, when you get more snaps underneath this belt, that'll be princely for this team. The rookie. I think there's a lot of upside with him. Tershawn Wharton had missed time this season, dealing with a hamstring injury. When he gets fully healthy, he's going to be an impactful player on this defense. We saw what he was able to do last season with Kansas City. In limited action this year, Tershawn Wharton looked very good against the Jacksonville Jaguars and the same against the New England Patriots. So we've seen him go out there and have his moments. He just has to stay healthy with that hamstring. And hamstring injuries, they are a bit weird. But as soon as he can come back, he can be better. Christian Roseboom, early on, did not look good as a linebacker in the interior room. He's still having up and down moments. I don't have that much confidence in him long term. But over the last couple of games, he's been better. Had to give him a lot of credit. You have DJ Wonnum as a pass rusher. He has an interception on the season. But the safety room is where everything is gelling right now. We all know that J.C. Horn is one of the best cornerbacks in the game. You put him in one-on-one situations, 9 times out of 10, he's going to succeed. He's just a phenomenal glue guy on the outside. Him and Derek Brown, those are cornerstone players that you have on your defense. You never trade them. You never even think about trading those players, no matter what happens in the future. But Trayvon Mooring and Lathan Ransom has been a very good safety room in the backfield, on the back end of this defense. Especially Lathan Ransom, I think there's a lot of upside with him. They're giving him more snaps as the season goes on. But you saw the impact that he had against the Miami Dolphins, just taking away the middle of the field and just roaming around. And he was phenomenal at The Ohio State University. So the Panthers, they have something here. But I am still concerned about Bryce Young. That's my biggest concern right now with the Panthers. The defense is taking a step forward. The run game is getting better. I know that Dave Canales can coach as an offensive play caller with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a few years ago. I like the job that he did last season as a head coach with the Panthers. They're fighting for him. Whenever they go down in these matchups, they're still trying to come back and win. That's a telltale sign of a coach that still has his locker room. Against the Arizona Cardinals, you're making a comeback. They were still fighting against the Jacksonville Jaguars in that game. The same against the Miami Dolphins. You came back and won that matchup. If this is the Carolina Panthers with Frank Reich, they would have easily lost that matchup in terrible fashion. But you came back from being down 17-0. So for all the people that had a lot of questions about Dave Canales, he's answering them every single week now. But win this game against the New York Jets on the road. And this is really a huge game for Bryce Young in general here. When you have a 1-15 record on the road, you cannot let this be 1-16. Now, understand it's the entire team here. It's a team effort game. But Bryce Young has been so bad on the road in so many different moments. If he goes out there in this situation against the Jets and he looks good, he can get the football to Mitchell Evans, the tight end, in short yardage situations in the red zone, or get the football to Tedderroy McMillan, who has been a superstar with the Carolina Panthers. You'll be fine. And you can continue to build with him moving forward over the course of this season. And that's the thing here with the Carolina Panthers. You just want to see improvement from week to week. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Carolina Panthers moving forward? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.